I would like to call this meeting to order of the Operations and Governance Committee. It is Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, and the time is 9:04. I apologize for the late start. I had a late night last night and very lazy morning. I couldn't get motivated, so I apologize. First item on the agenda is our roll call to determine a quorum. Maria?
Ms. Reynolds,
Present.
Mr. Bass,
Here.
Ms. Gustafson,
Here.
Ms. Hill,
Here.
Ms. Lane,
Here.
Mr. Rice.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Wow, yes, we do. Almost, I think everyone's here. Yay. All right. I'll go over the remote and in-person meeting rules for the day. Remote committee members, please raise your hand to speak and mute your microphone unless speaking to help cut down on the background noise. I'd like to ask that all remote members turn on your camera if you are able. Remote members may not use the chat box to make any comments or to have sidebar conversations. Members of the public who have joined us in person, please raise your hand at the appropriate time for public comment, and you will be called on to speak in the front of the room. Committee members who are in person, please raise your hand if you wish to comment, state your name, and speak clearly into the microphone in front of you. If you're viewing the webinar on a personal computer, please ensure that your microphone and speakers are turned off to prevent audio feedback into the room. The first item on our agenda is public comment period for any items on the agenda. Any member of the public wishing to address the committee on an agenda item, please raise your hand now, either in person or by clicking the raise hand button on your Zoom screen or by dialing *9 on your phone, and you will be called on and unmuted by a TRPA staff member. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. This comment period is reserved for items on the agenda. Comments on other matters may be redirected to the public interest comment period just before adjournment of this meeting. Are there any members of the public in person that would like to address the committee? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on Zoom.
Madam Chair, we have one hand raised so far.
Okay.
We have Michelle and Carrie Sarnoff, go ahead and address the committee.
Yes, is this the appropriate time to talk about the campsite? Because that's on the agenda or not?
No, this is a committee of TRPA on operations and governance, and that item will be heard on the regular full board meeting, which will start at 9:30.
That being the case, as Gilda Radner used to say, never mind.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes by staff on the agenda?
No changes.
Any changes by my colleagues? Okay, I'll deem the agenda approved. Let's go to approval of the minutes. We're on agenda item number 3. We have draft set of minutes from August 27, 2025 that start on page 11. Do any members of the committee wish to make a change? No? Okay. Any changes by staff? No. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay. We have 3 moves. We'll accept Cindy Gustafson's move as she was the first one in. There is a motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, may we please have a roll call vote? Great. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes stand approved. This brings us to agenda item number 4, discussion and possible recommendation for approval of the August financials. This information begins on page 61, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Cox.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you. Chad Cox, for the record, finance for TRPA. Hey, just a couple quick highlights for August. We did receive both states' appropriations. So those invoices went out in July. We received the state's appropriations in August, which is great. That sets us up for the year. You'll see as we get into the cash flow, we get those funds early and then we spend them down throughout the fiscal year. So that's great. So we're at 9.3 million of revenue, which is 30% of the budget through the first 2 months. And I'll get into more detail in just a moment. From an expense perspective, we ramped up a little bit in expenditures up to 2.3 million, which is 7% of budget. And we're on track there, and I'll jump into a little more detail as well. Next month, we'll jump into a treasurer's report. I know there's been some stuff going on with interest rates and stuff, so we'll fill you in on that next month. But otherwise, we're kind of just starting up the year and beginning our ramp. So jumping over to the next slide, going through revenue by category, you can see the state revenue is at 100%, as I mentioned on the first slide. Grants hasn't ramped yet. That typically bills on a quarterly basis. So we'll be billing for the first quarter in October, end of September this month, in October for the first quarter. So that's why you're not seeing anything in grants. So we'll see that ramp up tremendously. And with that, on the expense side, which we'll get to in a moment, contracts will ramp. From a local revenue perspective, we'll invoice that in October. We do a study where we look at property values and things to determine how to split that 150, and that'll go out to each of the 5 counties here shortly. Looking at fees, good news is we did see fees step up. When I brought that to you in July, we saw a sequential downtick, which was the first time I'd seen that since I'd started the role about a year and a half ago. We did see fees step back up in August, which is good. Talking to Wendy and our permitting team, it was a very busy August. I think we fielded over 400 calls, so activity remained strong, which is good. We saw it step up sequentially. I think August to date, we're more in line with like 2024 and 2022. So no concerns on the fees. But as I said, last month, we'll continue to monitor those fees in the coming months. And then finally, rent revenues on track as expected. And then our other revenue bucket is mainly driven by interest income from our investments. We have not been able to book our LGIP, which is the Nevada fund interest, because we haven't been able to get into that account since the cybersecurity attack. So we've been working to figure out when we can get back in. We know we're still earning that interest. We just need to, basically review it and have that book. So we'll catch that up once we get back into the site. So I know last board meeting, that was the week that Nevada had been suffering and working through that cyber attack. So that does look down slightly when you look at it as a run rate versus budget. But once we book that, because that's booked on a monthly basis, we'll come back up to expectation. And then finally, on a revenue front, from a mitigation perspective, we've had about $500,000 of mitigation revenue to date. Any questions on revenue? Great. Jumping over to expenses, comps at $1.4 million, 14% of the budget, are roughly 17% of the way through the year. So we're fine on compensation. Contracts did step up versus last month. These typically go up as we implement grants. So we'll see contracts step up as well as grant income for the quarter as we work through our quarterly invoicing. Financing is booked twice a year in December and April. So we'll see that step up about half to 50% back half of the year. And then our other bucket is things like that you've probably experienced as you walked in the door. We got the Forest Health project done. So that area between here and the parking lot has been that's been thinned. That's completed. I think you probably saw this. The building's been stained. So some of those items that y'all approved as a board for budget, we're working through, and so that will also continue to ramp up as we kick off some of the bigger projects. And then mitigation expenses, only about $125,000 in August, which was from a project approved in fiscal 2025. So yeah, expenses look on track. Like I said, they're a little low, but those do ramp as we go through the fiscal year. Any questions on expenses? Okay, moving over to cash flow. As you can see, there's a big green bar there. That's great. That's the state funds coming in. We started off the year negative, which is kind of typical depending on when those state funds come in. So we had a $7.2 million cash generation in August, which was about $10.7 million in receipts, which mainly was state funds, plus some of the invoicing from fiscal 25 grants, offset then by typical payments for payroll and accounts payable. So cash looks good, and we will see that, as you can see, both of those lines kind of trend down throughout the year as we spend down the state's appropriations. So good shape for the year. That's all I have, and concludes my update on financials, unless there's any questions.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Great.
Are there any questions of my colleagues in the room? No? Okay. Any questions of my colleagues online? Okay, seeing none, then I'd like to bring it back to the committee for motion.
Move approval.
Thank you. There's been a motion. Is there any further discussion? May we please have a roll call vote?
Mr. Bass,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Gustafson,
Yes.
Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Rice,
Yes.
Ms. Lane.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. I was remiss in not welcoming Deanna Reynolds, who's here on behalf of our other committee member, Francisco Aguilar. So welcome. Thank you for being here. We'll move on to item number 5, which is discussion and possible recommendation for approval for release of the 2026 Nevada funding to the Tahoe Transportation District. And Mr. Cox.
Thank you. So today, we come before you here to request to release funding that we receive as TRPA to support the Tahoe Transportation District. This was kicked off back in 2022. It was requested on behalf of the TTD governing board members to have the state support TTD through TRPA. So for the last 2 fiscal years, meaning fiscal year 24 and 2025, we've gone through this process. It was agreed and approved as part of the 83rd legislative session for fiscal years 26 and 27 to have similar funding of $346,000, $346,500 to basically flow through TRPA to TTD. We've received those funds as part of those state appropriations. I brought this to you all last year in August because we received appropriations in July. This year, we didn't receive the appropriations from the state until August, so we're bringing it to you here in September to release. This is a similar level to prior year, and it's been approved for that 346.5 for the next 2 fiscal years. Moving forward, I did want to come to you and let you know that our plan for next fiscal year is to line item this out as part of the budget. So we don't need to bring it to you for a special release. We can kind of lay it out, hopefully, and obviously we'll have to approve it as part of the budget, but hopefully it'll be one less action we'll have to take next year, and we can kind of approve it as part of the budget. But did want to bring it forth for approval, and then I think it will land on consent for the overall board to approve the release. So with that, are there any questions on the why or the mechanism for what we're doing here?
No, I just wanted to compliment the state of Nevada for stepping up and
Yep.
doing this.
Yep.
And we have some work to do on our side.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Are there any questions by my colleagues online?
I have
No.
no question. I would just like to say that Douglas County is very much behind this. In fact, we have approved their funding for the next 3 years.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Rice.
And
Ms. Hill?
thank you, Madam Chair. And I really commend Commissioner Rice for his support of TTD, as well as Supervisor Gustafson. And I'm really excited that we were able to secure this funding for another biennium. And I just really appreciate TRPA's support of not making TTD go through their own request, because building in a new organization to the state's budget request, it sounds like it shouldn't be hard. You just add a new organization name, but it actually creates a lot more work. And so this is a really great way for us to secure this funding. And a TRPA can also hold TTD, responsible for ensuring that we're spending it on the right things and operating in a way that they approve. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Hill, and congratulations to you especially, because I know you really championed that. And so a good role model for us.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll bring this back to the board for any additional comments or a motion.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Rice,
I move that a motion to approve release of the FY 2026 State of Nevada appropriation of 346.5 to the Tahoe Transportation District.
thank you, Mr. Rice. There's a motion. Is there any further discussion? May we please have a roll call vote?
Mr. Bass,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Gustafson,
Yes.
Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Rice,
Yes,
Ms. Lane.
Yes,
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
thank you. That takes us to agenda item number 6, which is upcoming topics. Mr. Cox.
Thank you. Yeah, just real quick, up and coming, we do have a bit of activity, and it will be a little bit busier in terms of ops agenda items, especially in October and as we move towards the back half of the year. In October, we're going to bring to you the planning fee update. We look at our planning fees on an annual basis, and we'll be bringing to you the increase associated with inflation. So that'll be an agenda item. The second one here is we are considering a rule of procedure amendment to Article 16.2, which is how we adjust those fees. Currently, we tie it specifically to the Western State CPI, and we want to make sure that there's a if we ever go to negative or a deflationary period, that we don't get kind of stuck with our current language. So I'll bring you up to speed on that one as well through a staff report and talk you through a proposed amendment. And then we'll also bring you through treasurer's report, where we can cover off on some of the things going on in the market from an interest rate perspective. In November, it'll be likely simple, hopefully just going through the monthly financials. We'll have that quarter behind our under our belt so we can walk through that. And then in December, we'll bring the fiscal year 2025 audit, the audited financials. So we'll have our auditors present the figures on our behalf, and we'll look to get approval for the fiscal year 2025 financial statements. And then in January, we'll do another treasurer's report and then potentially bring back an investment update with Principal Group. So that's what's up and coming.
Great.
Is there anything you'd like to see? You know, this is kind of going back and looking through kind of history. I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like us to consider.
Committee members, anything we're missing? No? I
Great.
don't think so. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're on agenda item number 7 now, which is committee member comments. Are there any committee members that wish to comment at this time? Ms.
If I may,
Gustafson?
I think all too often we don't compliment the TRPA staff on administering all these grants. In my previous career, I had to do a lot of that. And the timing and when you bill and when you get reimbursed and the management of that grant income coming and going is very complicated. And every agency has a different format to report in. And I don't think we compliment you enough for all of the hard work you and your team do to keep us on track.
Yeah, and the key part is the team, right?
Yeah.
Kathy Salisbury is our finance director, and she with the grants analyst team, 3 of them manage pretty complex process. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for that, Ms. Gustafson. Any other comments? No? Any comments on our committee members online? Okay, seeing none, then we'll go to public interest comments. This is our final matter of business. Any member of the public wishing to address the Operations and Governance Committee on any item listed or not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. If any member of the public wishes to speak, please raise your hand now, either in person or by clicking the raised hand at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Are there any members of the public in person that would like to address the committee? Please come forward. Good morning.
There we go. Thank you. Laura Kosky. Yes, I'm concerned with the amount of money, the funds for the wildlife bridges. We still have a continuation of bears and coyotes and raccoons on Highway 50 being slaughtered. I mentioned this several times and I'm really concerned. Are we going to build any wildlife bridges and address these issues? Or are we just going to play Operation Ignore? And now we're adding children to the list as well as adults. And there's 150 accidents within a 6-month period with the scooters. And now we're adding motorcycles and cyclists. And I've taken several pictures of this ongoing. And many people have brought up with the fire trucks and ambulances running back and forth with this noise pollution. So I just want to really emphasize this. And now we are heading into winter and with the head-on collisions on the summits, I was thinking that we need a divider on the summit up at Echo Summit and Spooner or K-Rail. Otherwise, I just see this continuing. And I have talked to the staff, the Caltrans, and when we had 4 head-on collisions, I had taken some individuals that were in an accident home. And then when I came back, I talked to the Caltrans and I said, can you have everybody space out and downshift? And he told me I don't have to teach them how to drive. And so I just feel there's too many people undermining us and it needs to stop, especially the seriousness in these accidents. So that's really just kind of what I want to emphasize right now.
Thank you, Ms. Cosby. Are there any other public in the room that would like to address the committee? Okay, seeing none, we'll go online, please.
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised to make public comment. On
Okay,
items.
thank you. We'll go ahead and close public comment and I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gustafson. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.